Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Architect Barnabas Yusuf Bala, the Right Honorable Speaker, Aminu Abdullahi Shagali, Your Eminence, Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar, Sarki Musulmi, Your Excellency, Governor Donald Duke, Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, development partners, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a great honor for me to be invited to give a keynote on this occasion. And it was a great pleasure watching my friend and brother, Governor Nasir El-Rufai, talk to us about his vision for making Kaduna great again. I was a bit worried about that vision because it reminds me of Donald Trump's making America great again. And everything I know about Nasir tells me he's not exactly a Donald Trump double. You know, I've always talked about my friendship with Governor El-Rufai. We've been friends since we were teenagers. And as I said during the launch of his book, people keep asking me, how come you're always friends with this El-Rufai? And I say, I need him because he's the only person in the public space that makes me look like a moderate. You know, usually people go to my friends and say, including the Sultan now, they go to him and say, look, talk to the Emir of Kano. And everywhere, talk to the governor, say, talk to your friend, he's too radical. But what I find is that people come to me and say, please talk to your friend Nasir. You know, he's so, and so long as I continue to have that, you know, I'm comfortable that I'm not the most extreme and most radical public officer, so I have to keep close to Governor Nasir. I've been asked to speak on promoting investments in the midst of economic challenges. And maybe we should look at what these economic challenges are and take a broad view of the environment in which we are, because we can't just talk about Kaduna State. Kaduna State exists in northern Nigeria, northern Nigeria exists in Nigeria, Nigeria exists in Africa, and Africa is part of a global economic infrastructure. So as we look at the investment environment in the world, we've got to look at what is happening in other parts of the world. What are the implications of a Donald Trump presidency and a return to US isolationism? What are the implications of Brexit for Nigeria, for the European Union? We have elections happening all over Europe. We don't know what they're going to come up with. From the perspective of progressives and liberals, we've had a very good election in the Netherlands. We had a big scare, but Germany and France are still up in the air. We have a world that has seen of recent the emergence of hard right-wing leaders, and some have hardened as the years have gone by. So look at Turkey, look at Russia, look at Israel, look at China, even South Africa. Now, what does this say for the world in which we live? For multilateralism, for cooperation, for an interest in development, and for the big issues around poverty, unemployment, and so on. Now, obviously, still in the tail end of a global crisis, started since 2008. We're not really out of it. US interest rates have gone up, which is a sign that US economy is growing. There are signs of slow recovery in Europe. Our own economy, Nigeria, is in recession. Let me start by saying that I will try very, very hard not to offend anyone. And let me, in any case, apologize in advance in case anyone is offended by what I have to say. So let's look at Nigeria, because this is the environment in which we live. We have a lot of good news coming out. You can see from the IMF Article 4 consultation, it's not as negative as it should have been in the light of certain recent developments. But the environment remains challenging. Money supply growth, an inflation rate of almost 20%, multiple exchange rates, which are now beginning to see some convergence. The bad news politically. If you've been reading Nigerian newspapers for the last 2-3 weeks and watching Nigerian TV and following Nigerian social media, you would be concerned about the leadership. The conversation is not about electricity, about infrastructure, about education, about healthcare. In the last 1 month, all the conversation is about the National Assembly, the executive, the judiciary, conflicts between this politician and that politician, confirmation of EFCC. There has been no serious conversation around the people, which is why I decided that I would attend this, because this is the first conversation I'm seeing that actually is not about politicians fighting each other. Now, the problem with all that noise is that it has all the consequences of noise. No matter what you're doing, if you create too much noise, nobody sees your good work. Nobody is seeing progress on security. Nobody sees progress on the fight against corruption. All we see is a constant struggle between certain politicians and others, holding this entire country to ransom. And all of us have been sucked into it. So let me join the Sultan by calling on our political leaders at the national and subnational level to please remember that elections are in 2019, not 2017. Nobody wins an election in 2017. It is not yet time. Let's talk about education and healthcare. We all understand when we get to late 2018, you stop working and politicize. We all understand that. But it is too early to leave your posts. You can't be in politics for 4 years. And this is a big problem. So we're talking about a difficult economic environment. A lot of that difficulty is self-inflicted. Now let's talk about policies. I've spoken a few times on the economy. I think I've actually said enough. There isn't much to add, but what I will do is I will summarize what my position has been in the last 2 years. If you look at Africa in the so-called Africa Rising Decade,